That ovation is not for the latest hit on Broadway or some well-known sports figure. That applause is for three superstars of a different kind. Three young men who have just been ordained to the holy priesthood as missionaries to America. Ordination Day is special for Trinity missionaries. They come from all over to welcome their new brothers in the priesthood. Happy and grateful that God has blessed the missionary servants of the Most Holy Trinity with three new priests. Yes, it does take many hands to make a priest, but on Ordination Day, the most important hands are those of the bishop. As he touches the head of each young missionary, the sacrament of holy orders, the priesthood, is conferred. The long years of study and spiritual preparation have led to this most joyful and solemn moment. Then there are the gentle hands of parents, grandparents, and loved ones, and the special greetings from close friends who come to share in this joyous day. Plus the firm grip of support and friendship by fellow priests and missionary brothers, sealing their loyalty as witnesses of God's love and power for good. The day is a happy one. Trinity missionaries from faraway Puerto Rico and other parts of the United States relax for a few brief hours. Relatives and friends ask for the young priest's first blessing. There is a common realization. Something wonderful has taken place. A holy celebration of God's love and power, personified by the generosity of these young men to accept the challenge as missionaries to America. A great American idea, truly, an American story. The American story begins with Father Thomas Augustine Judge, founder of Trinity Missions. This narrow country road in Holy Trinity, Alabama, leads to where Trinity Missions had its humble beginnings. A simple sharecropper's shack became Father Judge's first chapel and home. The white-haired priest on the left is Father Judge. Father Thomas Augustine Judge spent many hours of prayer in this humble little chapel, begging God's blessing on his efforts to lead many in a knowledge and love of the faith that filled his own heart. Now that chapel has become a symbol to every Trinity missionary. This is a place of quiet and inspiration for Trinity missionaries who often return to recapture the spirit of their founder, especially for those who knew Father Judge in the early days, like Father Torribius. It's also a place where future Trinity missionaries can find their roots, appreciate their tradition, and reaffirm their faith in God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Not far from this original setting is the old St. Joseph's Chapel, a plain structure that stands on the spot where Father Judge started his first school to educate Trinity missionaries. Holy Trinity holds many fond and happy memories for scores of Trinity missionaries. In this tranquil atmosphere, the ideals of Father Judge transformed young men into zealous apostles for the poor and the abandoned. Father Judge erected this first rough-hewn cross here in the red clay of Alabama. He would go on to request that every Trinity mission function in the blessed shadow of the cross, symbolizing courage, service, love, and faith. The surroundings are still poor. Shacks and shanties still stand beaten and worn, and the people barely scratch a living from the begrudging earth. The Trinity missionary makes frequent visits to see that those in special need who are unable to provide for themselves receive food and medical care. One of these men is Father Walter, returning to St. Joseph's, but now as a seasoned missionary. Holy Trinity, no longer a seminary, is now a parish, serving the people of this Alabama mission. But really, what are missions? Missions are people. To the people he serves, the elderly, a mother old before her time, the young, To all these, the Trinity missionary is a symbol of hope, a friend they can trust, someone to whom they can talk and confide, even though the presence of that rifle might make it seem otherwise. Yet amid this shameful poverty, the parish provides one of the best schools in the area. Schools such as this give this family and many more like them a chance to grow spiritually and materially. Even this future Olympic star has a chance because of the presence of a Trinity missionary. The combination of the Trinity missionary with his people and the help of God, sooner or later, always adds up to success. Teamwork like this can take place on the scrubby wall of a sharecropper's shack or a modern playground in El Medina, California. That's Father Coleman, another Trinity missionary. To say that the missionary work in California meets contemporary needs and problems would be an understatement. Here's Father Eugene Mueller. Because he speaks fluent Spanish, the Mexican migrant workers he serves regard him affectionately as both priest and friend. It's also because he plays a pretty good game of dominoes. When the game gets rough, it's a Trinity missionary visiting kids in trouble. Or Father Dan McLaughlin taking out a few minutes to chat with the friendly proprietor of the neighborhood store. Many years ago, Father Judge said, "If it is the work of God, it will continue." And it has. At the community center in El Medina, a wide range of activities fills out the day. Even a cooking class brings people together so that they might find God and consolation in each other's needs. Here, the Trinity missionaries and dedicated laity provide the elderly with the opportunity for lively and healthy relationships. The fear and loneliness that old age can bring disappears because someone cares. The Trinity missionary always emphasizes his work with children. This was once a garage. Now it's a preschool. But be it a garage or a modern classroom setting, the values and principles he teaches are the same: love of God and love of neighbor. Sometimes the best classroom is a comfortable seat on the arm of a Trinity missionary. Father Dennis Barry loves these children, and it's obvious that they return his love. Have you ever seen such attention? Children are the future of America and the future of the church. Quite often, it's at the side of a Trinity missionary or a dedicated Christian such as Maria that these children get their first lessons in good education, solid family life, and religious stability. "Let the little children come unto me," said the Lord. Father Judge and the missionary servants have followed that precept to this day. That's a fair trade if I ever saw one. This is a very special group of people, the laity. Trinity Missions itself developed from the group of lay missionaries Father Judge gathered around him in Alabama back in the early part of the century. The lay group is known as the Missionary Senecal Apostolate. They're people throughout America working to be a power for good in their own state of life. Father James O'Brien is spiritual director of this work on the West Coast. His days are devoted to lectures, retreats, and counseling. But there is always that need for occasional solitude, searching for the most effective way to meet the needs of the church today. A great American idea, an important part of this American story. Trinity missionaries still labor largely in the South, but since those early days in Alabama, they've moved into numerous other areas of spiritual and social concern. This seems like an easy enough job, but don't let the relaxed atmosphere fool you. As college chaplain in the mountains of West Virginia, Father Keenan Ryan is helping prepare students to meet the important challenges they'll face after college. Meeting these challenges correctly will enable them to be instruments of peace and love in our society. Perhaps the success of Father Ryan will help lighten Father John Ford's burden. He is both priest and social worker to what he considers his abandoned parish. Being a prison chaplain is difficult, and it requires a man with great prudence and generosity, a man who loves God and dispenses his mercy. Father Ford strives to meet that challenge. Father Victor Seidel believes that part of the solution to our religious and social problems is the effective use of the media. As Director of Communications, Father Victor produces radio and television programming for use all around the country. Brother Hillary, too, uses every opportunity to reach those in need. A radio program for the benefit of the blind and physically handicapped. In the spirit of Father Judge, Brother reaches thousands with useful information in their daily lives. Communications of another kind is articulated in yet another way. These lovely, smiling faces are also part of this American story. They're religious sisters, missionary servants of the Most Blessed Trinity. And like the priests and brothers, they were founded by Father Judge. As part of the missionary servant family, they too are missionaries to America who work and pray in the spirit of their founder. Teamwork among the priests, brothers, and sisters is not uncommon, but sometimes it takes an unusual twist. Certainly that's true along the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. That's not a Sunday golfer heading for the clubhouse. That's Sister Mary Ellen returning to her clinic in Kill, Mississippi, after a long day of visiting. There's more than one way to reach the people of God. Sister is a registered nurse. Her clinic provides health care for people who don't regularly receive medical attention. Her bedside manner is gentle and caring. What she dispenses is more than just medicine. It is her sincere love of God. There's a festival going on. It's the Sacred Heart Festival. The Trinity Missionary has a special role in a Spanish-speaking mission like Lorain, Ohio. Besides performing the traditional ministry, the priests, brothers, and sisters are firm links with the deep religious heritage that is part of the Spanish culture. From a small storefront chapel in 1952, the Trinity Mission in Lorain has grown steadily. Manned by one priest originally, the mission now has a new church complex staffed by a full team of priests, brothers, and sisters. It's a challenge when you realize that this parish, in one large urban area on Lake Erie, has literally thousands of Spanish-speaking people. The missionary servant's role in a community such as Lorain is truly unique because they must guide some parishioners to a fuller understanding of a new culture, a new language, a new way of doing things. And on the other hand, preserving time-honored traditions.
El Señor Todopoderoso tenga misericordia de nosotros, perdone nuestros pecados y nos lleve a la vida eterna. Amen.
A perfect example of this harmony in action is the beautiful liturgy of the Mass, highlighting this day's joyous celebration. The Big Apple, New York City. These are the people of God, and somewhere in that surging crowd is a Trinity missionary. Don't look for a clerical collar. There he is, in that Greek sailor hat. Father Roland Melody. Quite often, his parish is the street. You see, he works with drug addicts. He's known as narco priest.
He says that your bail has been paid, but you have to...
Now here, looking quite different, Father Melody counsels a young girl on the dangers of drug abuse. Another example of the adaptability of a Trinity missionary. Back on the street, Father Melody looking for a young girl who is both addict and prostitute.
You know a girl named Carol Ruskin? She goes by the name of Sugar.
You have to heal their bodies before you can touch their souls. An almost impossible task, but he does it for the love of God. Whether in the teeming, crowded metropolis or the peace and quiet of St. Joseph's Shrine, located in Sterling, New Jersey, the missionary servants of the Most Holy Trinity are serving the people of God. These familiar statues, showcased in a natural and peaceful setting, provide inspiration for prayer and meditation. The chapel at the shrine was once an old barn. Now it's a beautiful church, which serves many visitors who come here. The activities of the shrine are many and varied. The sacrifice of the Mass is offered daily. But visitors come for other reasons as well, to learn, to question, to ease troubled minds. Consequently, each Trinity missionary must fit the role of friend, counselor, teacher, but most of all, listener. But then comes the time when he too needs a listener.
Okay, you say you've been drinking for what, 12 years?
Father Owen does his share of listening, counseling an alcoholic with firmness, but with deep understanding.
I know you've lost your wife, you've lost the respect of your children, but, you know, all this can come back.
Whatever the need, the shrine serves as a haven in the middle of a loud and confusing world. Its beauty and peace are soothing to the soul. It's an American story. Missionaries from America to America. Since the first chapter was written by Father Thomas Augustine Judge, the story continues to be written by the missionary servants of the Most Holy Trinity. These three young men will contribute their own sacrifice and zeal. They wear the symbol of God's love, as did the missionaries who went before. And now they join other Trinity missionaries to labor among farmers and factory workers, coal miners, sharecroppers, tobacco growers, fishermen, and migrant workers. Their labors will take them to the coal fields of Kentucky, the lowlands of Virginia. They'll work in the decay of inner cities and the endless miles of the rural South. From the Mississippi Delta to the villages of Puerto Rico. From the vast orchards of California to the mountains of West Virginia. Trinity missionaries will continue to work among the people of God for the love of God. Trinity missionaries, an American story.